Good evening. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Memorial Stadium. For those of you who've been with us, welcome back. Johnsburg Skyhawks taking on the Rochester Rockets, and an exciting matchup coming up next. 13-0 Johnsburg Skyhawks. We're here in studio. I'm Annie Costabile alongside the Edgy Tim.
Look at the digs we have here. Can you ask for a better view? Welcome to the Edgy Hospitality Suite here at Memorial Stadium.
Edgy Hospitality Suite. I thought it was the Annie Costabile Hospitality Suite.
Of course. We share it here. It's no problem. But again, just a great facility, and let's get ready to go. A great game coming up, but let's go over what happened previously. Class 1A title game, Forreston defeating St. Teresa, followed by DMAC defeating Maroa 35-7 as well. IC Catholic, man, defeating Carlinville 43-0 behind an impressive performance from Jordan Rowell. And now we have the nightcap, Johnsburg versus Rochester. It's definitely a guaranteed exciting game coming up. What do you think is going to be the difference maker in today's game? As we saw in the last game, in this game as well, I think whoever gets out of the gates early really sets the tone. Rochester, I talked in the last game about shock and awe. That's the same that Rochester wants to do. Can Johnsburg counter, keep that explosive offense saddled on the sideline a little bit? Those are two real important things to watch.
Now we're going to send it up to our guys in the booth who are going to take it away from you. They're pros. They're going to give you all of the action that you're looking for.
Our guys.
All right, thank you very much, Annie. Great to have you with us. Dave Bernhardt along with Chris Hyland, and we too are anxious to get this one started. But first, let's take a look at how these teams got here. Johnsburg, the road they had, they, for the third time, had to play Phillips in the state playoffs to get here. They knock off Phillips in overtime, the defending 4A state champion, 23-20 in a crazy game. Rochester, 49 points scored in that game. The key game, one game before that, they avenged last year's loss in the quarterfinals to Althoff in a great ball game that saw Rochester down by 19 before coming back to beat the Crusaders. Chris, you take a look at Rochester. 5 titles in the last 6 years, 5 in a row. They've been here, they've done that. For Johnsburg, they've gotten here, now they're looking to do that.
You're right. These are two programs who have been on two completely different courses over the last 5 or 6 years. Johnsburg went through a stretch where they lost 25 games in a row, and now they're in the state championship game against a program like Rochester, who has won a number of championships in the last 5 or 6 years. This is going to be one heck of a matchup.
He may have been held down in that semifinal game against Phillips, but Alex Peat has been dynamite all season long.
You're right, he has, and he is the player to watch for Johnsburg today. He's passed 5,000 career yards. He's in the top 10 in IHSA history. He is an all-stater that Johnsburg will rely on today.
And for Rochester, you can go and pick any number of players. We choose Avante Cox.
This is a very dynamic offense with a number of different weapons, but Avante Cox, the wide receiver, is the best threat for the Rochester Rockets today.
A lot of folks up here in the press box been waiting for this 4A game. We hope you have too. We're all set. We've got a 4A championship play. Rochester going for their 6th state title in the last 7 years, taking on the Skyhawks from Johnsburg. And that's coming up next, right here on CSN.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium for the 4A championship matchup between the Johnsburg Skyhawks and the Rochester Rockets. It's been an exciting day already here, and we are expecting another exciting matchup. I am Annie Costabile alongside Edgy Tim. The Rochester Rockets, they're no strangers to this platform, this stage, and we definitely can expect a big performance out of this Rochester team. But what specifically is going to be a key for this Rockets team?
Well, for me, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go defense. We're going to talk about the Rochester defense. Can they take away Alex Peat in the running game? It's, Johnsburg really relies on Alex Peat, and he gets them going. It's really important, I think, for that defense to set that tone early and to kind of take him out of his game. And then, of course, you look for the other keys. And you mentioned that experience. Sometimes you can get a little too comfortable down here. We'll have to see about that. Johnsburg, again, defense. Can they defend against this tremendously explosive Rochester offense? It's a huge question going into this ball game.
Yeah, take away Alex Peat. Rochester Rockets, you know, that's been the storyline of today, is the defense that has been able to shut down a certain player, a certain style of offense. And so, like you said, if the Rochester Rockets can shut down Alex Peat, I think we can see a Rockets victory coming out of this.
And if Johnsburg able to counter that, look for Riley Buchanan, the quarterback, to have a big game.
How important is Riley Buchanan in the Johnsburg team's success?
He's important because he's a two-way player. He plays quarterback. He also plays linebacker. So again, he's going to work tonight. There's no doubt. He's going to have responsibilities on both sides of the ball. And again, Dan DeBuff is really going to rely on a kid like Riley Buchanan. If they get a little bogged down in the running game, he's going to need Riley to have a big night.
Well, we're expecting a lot of action in this 4A state championship matchup. All of that coming to you next after this.
We wrap up our action here on a Friday in November. Your state championships, 3 champions already crowned. We're looking to do it here in 4A as Rochester meets Johnsburg. Great to have you with us here on a cool night in Champaign with Chris Highland. I'm Dave Bernhard. The head coaches very similar in terms of being laid back. There's Derek Leonard. He has 5 state championships in his back pocket, 118 wins in his 12th season. Did not make it here last year. And on the other side, Dan DeBuff, just his second year at Johnsburg, a 21-3 record. As Chris mentioned, this was a program that had lost 25 games in a row. Mike Maloney came in, turned it around. Dan DeBuff has just picked it up and taken it here to the next level. But Chris, I mentioned that both coaches laid back a little bit. They're very calm and relaxed for a title game.
Yeah, it seems like both coaches are just enjoying the moment. It's a little bit different for both of these coaches. Leonard has been here a number of times. DeBuff only here for the first time, but you're happy to see that both coaches are really enjoying themselves, and a lot of mutual respect between these two teams. We talked to both coaches earlier in the week, and Dan DeBuff just raved about the job that Leonard has done down at Rochester. A lot of respect between these two programs who have had a lot of success in the last couple of years.
Adam Jaco will boom this into the end zone for Johnsburg. Rochester had won the toss. They wanted the ball, and they will get it to start at their 20-yard line. For Rochester, 12-1. Their only loss this season coming to Sacred Heart Griffin. That came late in the season. You see number 19, a quarterback, Nick Baker. We probably will see 2 different quarterbacks. Baker this year, though, the 5'9", 175-pound junior. Typical Rochester numbers, 2,400 yards and a touchdown to interception ratio of 28-4. The Rockets will play fast. They will spread the field, and they will get a big play on play number 1. 9-yard pickup for the Rockets. On the carry, it was Avante Cox.
That was the exact same play that Rochester ran in their quarterfinal game against Belleville-Altoff on the very first play, except it wasn't Avante Cox, it was Avante Cox that took that ball around the edge and scored on the first play for Rochester to get them going against Belleville-Altoff. This time it's Avante who gets them started in the state championship.
Baker delivers, and he will go to Avante Cox. A look at the starting lineup for Rochester, brought to you by Taco Bell. We've already mentioned Avante and Avante Cox. White can do some damage. The quarterback, Nick Baker, and then up front, Sean Brewer, Austin Mathis, Clay Johnson, Christian Hedges, and Evan Boxman. Colin Stallworth, another big wide receiver, as in 6 feet 6 inches tall. Baker in trouble. Defensively for Johnsburg, they show what they're all about. The Skyhawks this year, 5 shutouts, 10 times they allowed less than 7 points. The up front man, Joe Moore, headed to Air Force. He's a big one. Jack Cake will keep an eye on him. Very active linebacker in the defensive secondary of Jaco, Frazier, and maybe one of the best in the state. That's Blake Lemke.
Cagle was the one who applied that pressure right there on that first down throw.
And a loss of yardage, maybe a yard gain back out of that previous loss. Number 11 on the stop for Johnsburg, that's Joe Calhoun, 6'3", 170-pound junior. This is a Johnsburg defense that, yes, they gave up 35 points against Manteno in the second-round game, but they held a Phillips offense to just 20 points in the semifinals. Baker takes the time, lets it fly, has his man, complete to Avante Cox. And that's a touchdown for Rochester. 63-yard touchdown pass from Baker to Avante Cox.
It's Avante Cox with the reception. The senior, 6 foot, 185 pounds, slips behind the defenders. And Rochester is on the board early.
So I gave the credit to your twin brother, Deontay, but it is Avante with the touchdown reception, his 20th touchdown catch of the year, and it goes for 63 yards from Baker, who throws his 29th touchdown of the year. And here we are, a minute and 33 seconds into this ball game. Rochester strikes first. The Rockets on top early, 7-0. Annie Constable along with Edgy Tim in the studio. I'm Dave Bernhardt along with Chris Highland. We heard Edgy's keys about Johnsburg cannot let something explosive happen early. One of your keys, though, Chris, was the outside.
Yeah, Johnsburg has to keep up with the athletes of Rochester on the outside, and there you see Avante Cox just slips behind the defense of Johnsburg, and Rochester is out to a 7-0 lead. And for Rochester on the other side, you've got to win in the trenches. Johnsburg's offense, which is about to come out on the field for the first time, wants to establish the running game. They've got an all-state running back in Alex Peat. They're going to want to run the football. For Rochester, you have to win in the trenches. You have to try and stop that run game early here in the first quarter.
This kickoff will be hit deep, taken inside the 15-yard line. Lemke with it. And he will be gang tackled down just shy of the 24-yard line. Return. Quarterback for Johnsburg is Riley Buchanan. Now, you will see Buchanan in a typical quarterback situation at times. At other times, he will be a blocking back in the Wildcat, and that's because Buchanan doubles as a starting linebacker.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. Coach DeBuff said he's the toughest quarterback he's ever coached. He plays linebacker, he's a wrestler. And you're right, sometimes they'll just shift over one spot. And Pete will be the guy behind the center, and Buchanan will be blocking for him.
Well, this time it is Buchanan giving to Peat. Still on his feet. Across the 30-yard line. Hard running from Alex Peat. The offensive unit for the 13-0 Johnsburg Skyhawks. We talk about Peat with those 2,300 yards. Nico LaDolce, the favorite receiver for Buchanan, Connor Bell and Chuck Curry. Bryce Jordan, the tight end, Berger, Wagner, Blackman, Joe Moore doubles up on offense and defense. And then Dylan Hess rounds out that offensive unit. 9 yards on first down for Peat. And more! Great cut at the 45 into Rochester territory.
These Johnsburg Skyhawks, even though it's their first time in this state championship game, they are not afraid of Rochester. As you see Peat right here gash the Rockets defense for another big gain. 2 plays, 2 big gains for Johnsburg. They're a battle-tested team. They took on the defending state champs, Chicago Phillips, in the state semifinal game, and Alex Peat, who struggled in that game, said that Chicago Phillips was one of the hardest-hitting teams he's ever played. So the Johnsburg Skyhawks are ready for this kind of physical football game.
Nothing doing for Peat right there. He was thrown back by Christian Hedges. Alex Peat had only 18 yards in that game against Phillips, and he already has 27 yards here tonight as Hedges will leave, 6 foot, 245-pound senior. That's a strong man from that nose guard position. Loss of yardage on the play.
Yard on that play is second down and 11 at the 49-yard line.
The Skyhawks like to spread the field as well. Buchanan takes a hit, drives forward. You see a little hop and a step here to the Skyhawks early.
You love a quarterback that can stick his nose right in it. That's a read option right there. He decides to keep it and head straight ahead, almost for a first down. It looks like the officials are going to call for a measurement. See right there, he breaks a couple of tackles. The offensive line getting hat on hat and moving bodies. I was so impressed watching film with this Johnsburg offensive line. They know how to just get a man on a man. You know, they're not flashy, not a whole lot of pancake blocks, but it's one-on-one. And they just tell themselves, my guy's not going to make the tackle here. As you see, Johnsburg gets the first down.
You know, the one thing that gets overlooked in the defensive efforts this year of Johnsburg is their offensive unit. Now, they only scored 23 against Phillips, against a great defense, but 5 times this season, including once in the playoffs, this offense for Dan DeBuff's team has gone over 50 points. They average 46.5 and give up only 10. On the other side, Rochester averages 51.8 points per game. First down, Johnsburg, first possession of the game for the Skyhawks. Peat to the outside. And he gets that extra 3 yards with the dive. He has some very lively feet.
He does. He kind of hopped over Avante Cox to get a few extra yards. Runs really hard, almost kind of gallops. He's running so hard and so fast out there on the field.
29-yard line.
Gets 9 yards on first down for Johnsburg. They are in business, knocking on the door here with their first possession of the ball game.
9-yard run on first down for Peat. Box is stacked tight, not much room there. It'll give us an opportunity to take a look at the Rochester starting defense. All of our starting lineups tonight brought to you by Taco Bell. Now, this is a defense that's given up and averaging about 17 points per game. Keep an eye on number 85, Mikey McNicholas. He's a tough one. And then, of course, the Cox brothers in the secondary.
Third and 1.
No gain on that last play. There's McNicholas. His coach, Derek Leonard, says Mike McNicholas could be a Division I middle linebacker.
He certainly has the size for it. 6'1", 210 right now. I mean, he looks the part. There are a lot of guys on this defense who look the part for Rochester as Johnsburg takes a timeout.
Johnsburg.
But you've got Austin Mathis and Sean Brewer on the edges who are also very tough to block.
Dan DeBuff takes a timeout. We'll join him. 7:14 to play in the first. 7-0 lead, Rochester. Some Chicago Bears fans in the house. Well, I can tell you that Sunday morning before Jordan Howard and company face the Tennessee Titans, we need you to get ready for kickoff with Chris Bowden, Lance Briggs, Alex Brown, and Jim Miller on an hour-long edition of Bears Pregame Live. And after the game goes final, you won't want to miss what the guys have to say. Plus, hear from Coach Fox and the rest of the team on Bears Postgame Live. It all begins Sunday at 11 a.m. on CSN. And on third down, Rochester appears to have held. It will be 4th and short. So about a yard short of a first down on 4th down as Johnsburg looks to answer that opening touchdown by the Rockets.
Middle linebacker Chase Kutzman in there to make the play right at the line of scrimmage.
29-yard line.
Fires straight through that gap and brings down Peat. A big 4th down. This is an early turning point in this game.
8th play of the drive, and it draws flags before the snap. We saw 10 people bunched up within about 5 yards on that Johnsburg line. That's a big 5-yard penalty.
Got a dead ball, false start, 67 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, we play 4th down.
You just heard from our referee, Jeffrey Burke. Scott Sebeski is the linesman, Arthur Crowley, the umpire. Our line judge tonight is Tony Nudo, and the back judge is Paul Hayes. Congratulations, gentlemen, for working the 4A championship game. Well, that changes the play call here.
It's a bit different. You were about to see Riley Buchanan go up under center, and the last time we saw him do that, it was a quarterback sneak for about 6 inches. That's all they needed there, but now it's 5 yards and 6 inches. Buchanan's gonna roll out.
And Rochester will hold on downs. The Rockets defense coming up big after Johnsburg had rolled down the field. For 20 on the coverage of Rochester is Chase Kutzman.
You see here, Buchanan's gonna roll out to his right. He's got 3 options over there. It doesn't really look like any of the 3 are open. And he just tries to throw it to the sideline where only a Johnsburg Skyhawk can get to it, but nobody's able to get to that one. Rochester ball.
Second touch of the ball here for Rochester, and this will go to Avante Cox. The reception near midfield will go for 12 yards. And you can see how quickly this Rochester offense wants to get up, get to the line, and let's snap it.
They're going to try and keep you on your heels if you're the Skyhawks defense. They want to get up to the ball as quickly as they can, make decisions, and use their speed to their advantage.
Avante Cox will get the pitch, and he's rolled up after a short pickup.
Avante Cox, the ball carrier.
Well, there's so much speed on the edges with Deontay and Avante Cox.
The two twins have touched the ball on almost every single Rochester play so far, and they are both special talents. Very fast, very physical as well on the outside. They block really well.
Baker stepping up nicely. Nick Baker, a first down.
Baker can move a little bit. He's not the quarterback that typically runs. You usually see Josh Grant doing most of the running if it's a Rochester quarterback, but Baker, the junior, shows his quicks right there, able to get the first down. Play action fake, nobody open downfield. He decides to tuck it and run and gets the first down. He knows exactly where the sticks are and then saves himself, gets out of bounds.
On first down, a short gain, a gain of a couple. Matt White get a couple of yards. White, 5'10" senior.
Tackled by 11, Joe Calhoun.
Most years he'd be the number 1 or 2 guy. Lines up in the backfield, also a wide receiver, but with the Cox twins, White is getting his touches from any part of the field he can. To the near side, it goes to Colin Stallworth. And Stallworth's knee went down. Big target for Stallworth. He didn't necessarily show it there, but Stallworth going 6'6" on a 190-pound frame.
Loss of a yard on the play. Third down.
Like you said, I mean, he could be one of the top options. You see there, he's got over 1,000 yards receiving, but he doesn't get talked about very much just because this wide receiver core is so loaded.
Great deflection on the coverage, number 35 for Johnsburg. That's Cameron Interante.
The linebacker out in coverage of Avante Cox. You see him dropping. Nice job of that drop there by the linebacker, getting a hand on it. Johnsburg saying, hey, we're just as athletic as these guys are on Rochester. We can keep up with these guys.
4th and 9 here from inside the 40. No thought of a punt. Baker looking to create space. On the run, wide open, first down, a completion to Deontay Cox.
So impressed with Baker there. He can throw the ball on a dime while on the run. Deontay Cox doesn't have a defender within 5 yards of him. He's just standing right there on the sideline waiting for Baker to get him this ball, and Baker throws a strike before Cox steps out of bounds.
From inside the 25-yard line. Baker to the left side, gets it to Avante Cox. Cox will pick his holes. Avante Cox, touchdown. His second touchdown reception here in the first quarter. This one, 24 yards from Baker.
Avante Cox is such an electric player. That is his 21st touchdown of the season. Just so fast, so talented on the outside, and you're going to see at the very end of this play as he crosses the field and makes 3 defenders miss. Number 1 right there out in front of him. Yeah, that's his twin brother, Deontay Cox, laying a block so that his brother can find the end zone. Rochester out to the early lead.
8 plays, 66 yards. And it happened in a hurry. And it is 14-0.
Good. 4:18 remains in the first quarter. 4A championship is Rochester 14.
Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers coming right at you. There is Avante Cox. This is why he's an all-stater. 2 years ago, he was on this field playing in a 3A championship game for Williamsville. Transferred to Rochester last year, and this year, the all-stater. 2 early touchdowns here in the first.
Give credit to the big men. You see him running downfield to lay some blocks. Clay Johnson out there making a block as he springs Cox free. 8 plays, 66 yards in only 1:53. Man, Rochester can score in a hurry. That no-huddle offense, they like to get right to the line and keep the defense on their heels. And these 2 Cox brothers are a huge part of this offense. Talk to Coach Leonard. He's almost in disbelief that these Cox brothers don't have more looks at the next level. He says they've gotten some looks, you know, from Division I colleges, but he says that both these guys, Deontay and Avante, no doubt, can't miss Division I wide receivers. Says two of the best wide receivers he's ever coached, and he's coached some pretty good ones.
Oh my goodness, yeah, he's got one right here at the University of Illinois in Zach Grant. And that will be a penalty against Rochester as it hops out of bounds. Pretty good opening.
That's a good
8
start.
minutes.
Yeah, that's a real good start, I'd say.
2 of your 3 catches go for touchdowns, 91 yards total for Avante. You know, we speak of the Cox brothers. They don't have much to do with each other outside of football. I'm not sure which one said it. In fact, it was Deontay. He said, you know, we kind of get annoyed being around each other.
Yeah, you know, I don't have a brother, and I definitely don't have a twin, but if I did, I could imagine that, you know, you spend so much time together, especially in such a grueling sport like football. You got a couple hours a day of practice, you see them all day at school. Maybe after practice, it's time to just, you know, go to our separate rooms and just have our own time.
Well, and they hang with different friends, too. It's a different group of friends.
Yeah, don't even hang out together after the game on Friday night.
Speak of college, they really have no desire. They don't feel like they have to go to the same school. And now an onside kick. And Johnsburg will have it at midfield.
So after the kick goes out of bounds, they try the onside kick. Coach Leonard has full confidence in his defense. Even if he puts them in a bit of a hole, makes them start at the 50-yard line. Johnsburg with only half the field to go.
A great position here for the Skyhawks. They need to finish what they started on their first drive. Even though we have 4:15 to play in the first, you get the sense that Johnsburg, this is a crucial drive for Johnsburg.
Yeah, and you know what? They had a very good opening drive. So I think that if they can continue that momentum here on this drive, they will be set. As you see Alex Peat, man, gets them started off on the right foot.
8-yard pickup on first down, and if he had been able to just keep his feet, there was that sideline awaiting him.
Yeah, he put a hand down, tried to keep his balance, but he just couldn't do it. He'll take the 7 yards, and bring up a second and short for his Johnsburg Skyhawks.
Johnsburg 13-0, their first undefeated regular season since 2004. They had some very lean years since then. Buchanan spinning to the near side. He had a tough night against Phillips. It was a very windy and cold night, if you recall, 1 week ago tonight against Phillips. Net 23-20 overtime win. Buchanan just 4 completion and 21 attempts. He also threw 3 interceptions against a great Phillips defense.
Yeah, that was a very, very good ball game between 2 talented teams. You know, it was interesting when we talked to Coach DeBuff earlier this week. He talked about the advantages of maybe playing that game on Friday night. When Rochester played on Saturday night, they had a full extra day to prepare, recover. We'll see if it helps out tonight.
Little jump pass. That's enough for a first down. Jack Cagle with it. Talk about his linebacking prowess. He also comes in offensively and gives you some speed in the backfield. That's an 8-yard completion and a first down. There is rushing numbers at 1.3-yard average.
That's pretty good. That's a big play back for you. The pump fake and then the screen, and you see him right there stop on a dime, make the defender miss with the jump cut and head upfield. Nice job by Cagle to get a first down for Johnsburg.
Buchanan has time and near the 30-yard line. Short completion that time. He will get it to Nico Dolce, his 56th catch of the year. He's approaching 1,000 yards receiving this year.
The 5'9" junior has had a very productive year on the outside. Riley Buchanan, a special talent at quarterback. You know, he's not overly impressive when you look at the film, but a tough guy like that just knows how to get the job done, as you see there. That's one of the Cox boys, Avante Cox, going to the sideline.
Member of the secondary for Rochester. Peat will leave himself maybe about 3 yards short of a first down. We're talking about the Friday night playing 1 week ago rather than on Saturday. One of the reasons why it's such a great atmosphere at Johnsburg, and we can tell prior to this game starting. The noise, the sound coming from both sides of the field, but here on the near side, especially Johnsburg.
You're right, we've been here since about halftime of the 2A game, and this has been the loudest we have heard this stadium all afternoon and evening.
Big third down here, and they need 4 yards. Buchanan will have it. Again, it's LaDolce. He knew right where he had to get. He got that first down by about a yard, maybe 2.
That's a strike from Buchanan to LaDolce. As you see those students for Johnsburg still fired up, even though their team is only down, or even though their team is down by 2 scores. They know that there's plenty of time left in this ball game, and they can make this up.
Have a first down just outside the 20-yard line. Johnsburg has never won a state title in any sport. In fact, it's the first Johnsburg team to reach the finals in any sport since 2003 when their basketball team got to the Elite 8. Big hole! Peat, the move to the outside. Nobody will get him. Alex Peat, 22-yard score.
Man, is he quick. Alex Peat with a couple of cuts, making a few defenders miss, and he is down the sideline to pay dirt. The senior, 6 foot, 185 pounds. You're not going to bring him down with one arm around the shoulders or around the waist like 2 Rochester defenders tried to there. He's into the end zone, and Johnsburg has made this a 1-score game late in the first quarter.
And they've made a statement on their 2 drives. Stopped on downs on the first one, but just as Rochester did in their 2 possessions, Johnsburg says, you know what, we can move this ball on you as well.
Yeah, Johnsburg has got a lot of offense already, even though they've only got 6 points to show for it so far, maybe 7 after this extra point.
Jaco's kick is good. 7th play of this drive, a total drive of 50 yards after the outside kick. Only took 2.5 minutes and cuts the Rochester lead in half.
2 high-powered offenses in this game. We've got almost 250 yards of total offense in the first quarter. Yeah.
One of the reasons is number 7, Alex Peat. He gets 22 of those yards right here.
Look at those big men up front, just getting body on body. You see Joe Moore right there moving bodies out of the way. Brandon Ackman also on that right side, holding up Sean Brewer, the strong defensive end for Rochester. And Peat runs right behind those big men into the end zone for 6.
And he made a move on Bryce Casey. Casey was just left frozen. There is that drive, and you hate to say they really had to score, but in a way they had to send the message, and it resulted in a score.
Absolutely, and I think message received if you're Rochester. This is going to be a ball game.
You see the formation with the ball at the 40-yard line. Dangerous return men for Rochester. The Cox twins are normally back there along with Matt White. Not sure whether Deontay, his help. Jaco, though, it doesn't matter. Drills this one halfway through the end zone. The wind is actually a crosswind. Really will not help nor hurt the kickers here. And Adam Jaco shows a leg.
Yeah, you know, and it's been very light all day. The flags here are kind of at the top of the stadium, so not really sure how much that'll affect the play on the field, but yeah, that's a huge advantage when you can have a kicker who can put the ball in the end zone every time and keep the ball out of the 2 Cox brothers' hands back there.
So the Rockets had a 1st and 10. Now they will have a 1st and 5. But it really doesn't matter with their offense. They converted a 4th and 9 moments ago.
Yeah, you're right.
In at quarterback now is...
Got dead ball, encroachment, number 70 against Johnsburg. 5-yard penalty, replay first.
Josh Grant at quarterback now for the Rockets. We mentioned his older brother, Zach, right here at the University of Illinois. And this is where you may see a little more running. Not a lot, but a little. There's your 250-plus yards here early. And that will be close to a 1st down, and Josh Grant with the run.
He said we'd see a little more running. Josh Grant, the senior captain of this team, coach said that he takes about 30 to 40% of the snaps. Nick Baker, the junior, will take about 60 to 70%. And you have Grant, more of a runner. He's run for over 350 yards this season.
Say his knee went down short of the 1st down, and that will be short as well. You know, and that's the impressive numbers that you see in his passing game. We talked about Baker, a 28-4 touchdown to interception ratio coming into this game. How about Grant, 21-2?
Yeah, I mean, he's also thrown for almost 1,200 yards this year. So it's not like he's a slouch out there playing quarterback, as you do see now Nick Baker back into the game, and he fumbles the football.
And a blue jersey likely at the bottom of this pile just based on everyone's reaction, but all of a sudden there is a 4th down at Rochester's 30-yard line.
Covered by Rochester. It's 4th down.
And I know that Coach Leonard likes to go for it in these kinds of situations, but the way Johnsburg has most of the momentum right now, I'm shocked that he is going for it.
There's a pile. Oh, we were going to get a spot, and a surge looks to be enough.
I think at the very end they got a little bit of a surge there. And it almost looked like Nick Baker handed the ball off and then immediately started pushing the fullback in the back to try and get that first down. It looked like they were stopped initially, but they do have the first down. The drive continues for the Rockets.
Well, the Rochester fans, their hearts jump up in their throat on that one.
14-7.
And we have played through 1 quarter. Derek Leonard looking for his 6th state championship. He's gone on 4th down twice. He's made it twice. Avante Cox, you speak of twice? 2 touchdown receptions and a 14-7 lead. Rochester after 1. The 2016 IHSA Football State Championships are brought to you by Country Financial. Country Financial will help you build a plan with insurance and financial solutions to help you get to where you want to go. Call your local rep at 1-866-COUNTRY or visit countryfinancial.com. 4th game of a day-long festival of state championship ball games. We'll have 4 more tomorrow, 5A through 8A. Dave Bernhardt along with Chris Highland, high atop Memorial Stadium here at the University of Illinois as we start the 2nd quarter. Quick pass to Avante Cox, shakes 1 across midfield. Avante Cox, a pickup of 17 on that pass from Baker. Joe Moore in on the play. Joe Moore, boy, he is a load for Johnsburg.
And that's the big man running all the way downfield to make that stop.
6'3", 260-pounder.
Shows how hard he works.
Avante Cox motion, he gets the ball, gets a block on the outside, stops, and forward he goes. 5 yards, he just absolutely came to a complete stop.
It's amazing how quickly he can stop and go. 2 plays, 2 big plays for one of the Cox twins, as we see it looks like Joe Moore down on the field.
We got a timeout for injury.
That would be a huge loss. 2-way player, anchors the offensive and defensive lines, headed to Air Force following his high school time, and it's good to see him walk off. Gets a little slap of hands with Evan Boxman. And that looks better yet for Johnsburg fans as he trots off. 2nd and about 4 here for Rochester. Only loss this season coming in week 7 to Sacred Heart Griffin, 33-28. Derek Leonard losing to his father, Ken Leonard. And again, the ball in the hands of Avante Cox. Another great move near the 20-yard line. We've seen Avante Cox with 2 touchdown receptions. Avante Cox with this catch. Speaking of Ken Leonard, he will be in action tomorrow in the 6A championship game against Prairie Ridge. What does he do here in this game? We'll show you that in just a bit. This time we go to Avante Cox, a short pickup. Flag down after a gain of a yard. We said Ken Leonard in action tomorrow, taking on Prairie Ridge. That'll be the 2nd game of the day, that holding call going against Rochester. There's Ken Leonard. And folks will look up in the white cap. Got to wrestle with the grandkids there.
He's hiding behind. Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. They've noticed.
Yeah, we are asking Derek Leonard, you know, what will your dad be doing? He says, well, he'll probably be taking care of the grandkids. That's exactly what it looks like. You know, and in fact, we saw before the ball game started, when they introduced the lamps, we saw Derek Leonard waving up high, and I was wondering, what is he waving at? He's waving to his family up here in the suites. First and long. And that pass went backwards. It's a free ball. And I believe it was covered up. Josh Grant, who was in the ball game, not as a quarterback, as a receiver / running back. That's a big play right there.
Well, I think that might be the reason that ball had to go backwards. Maybe it was going to be a double pass. It looks like it was going to be, because 2 of the wide receivers there for Rochester were still blocking, while one of them, I think it was Avante Cox, was trying to sneak down the sideline. So Johnsburg might have gotten away with one there. Rochester getting away with one also, falling back on that ball.
2nd and 28. Here's the 9th play of this drive. 2 minutes into the second quarter. Baker has room to run. And he'll still have almost 20 yards to go for a first down on 3rd down.
Second time that Baker has had to tuck the ball under his own arm and run. No wide receivers open downfield. At times, Johnsburg has been stingy and stuck with these wide receivers of Rochester, but there have been a few times where they've gotten behind them. Let's see if they can get behind them here.
Pump and go. Left side, just a bit overthrown. Colin Stallworth was the man that was in the end zone.
Stallworth was behind the defense. That little pump there, I think, created some separation for Stallworth, but the ball was just overthrown by Baker. Brings up 4th down.
4th down and 19 yards to go for a first down. Dan DeBuff looks on, looking for a defensive stop here. Rochester needs to get inside the 11-yard line. Baker creating space. In trouble. He's going down. And Johnsburg will take over on downs.
You see Coach Leonard right there telling Baker to get rid of that ball. He had a wide receiver open. I think it was Avante Cox. You see, this is a tough throw for a quarterback. He tries to set his feet right there. He's kind of running away from his throwing arm, and you saw Baker try and, Coach Leonard saying, you got to get rid of the ball. You're going to see him right there. You see Avante Cox, number 5, throw his arm up. He's wide open in the middle of the field, and Nick Baker tries to let it go, but he just doesn't have enough time as the Johnsburg pursuit is hot on his heels.
Skyhawks come back and a handoff to Peat. Well, we saw it in the 3A game, Chris. A penalty just really stops the drive in midstream, slams the brakes on. That's what happened to Rochester here.
It does, and the penalties really killed him there. A couple of plays where they went backwards on that backwards pass and then the sack, but also the penalty really puts you in a hole.
Last time Johnsburg had the ball, Alex Peat capped the drive, 22-yard touchdown run. Again, looking for that sliver, and it was almost there. Number 56, Austin Mathis. It's a good thing he got him at the ankles.
He catches Peat by the shoelaces. He almost slides right through that small hole right there, but Mathis brings him down. You see him get off the block there. He's got such long arms. Both the outside defensive ends for Rochester, Mathis and Brewer, they've got long arms. They play really long on the edge. They set a really nice edge, and then they're able to shed those blockers.
3rd and short. Squirting through. Peat. A first down into Rockets territory.
Peat springs free for the first down. You see right there, big number 70, Joe Moore back into the game. He pulls on this play. He actually pulls to the backside. You're going to see it right here. The guard pulling to the backside, and then Peat cuts right off their butts, right up the middle for a first down across midfield.
Picked up 10 yards, only needed a couple. Now 10 carries for 83 yards for Peat. To the near side. Another great cut. How about the strength of Alex Peat? 6 foot, 185 pounder. We've seen his feet, and now we see his power, and that's another first down.
He has shown it all early in this game. He can run between the tackles. He can get outside. He can break tackles. He can run with speed there. He does a little bit of all of it as he drags a couple of defenders for the first down.
We've yet to see the Wildcat today for Johnsburg. They haven't needed it. Number 10 handing to number 7. Buchanan now the throw. He's looking for 6. And a bit too far for LaDolce.
Had a defender right in his face. He wasn't really able to step into that throw, so he just kind of had to throw it off of his back foot and put just a little too much on it.
See, Dan DeBuff played his high school football at Lamont High School, college football at Carthage College. He's a quarterback, and so he understands how to communicate with the signal callers. Second down, this is Buchanan. He'll burst through a hole. And a late flag thrown, and another.
You can't tell if both those flags are for the same infraction. They're a couple of yards apart, and they were thrown a few seconds away from each other. We'll see as the officials conference. Johnsburg clapping like it might have been a foul on Rochester. It's going to be a face mask on Rochester. This is going to add some yards to the end of this run by Riley Buchanan. I tell you what, this is a special backfield for Johnsburg. 2 tough kids back there that run really hard.
We had a personal foul, face mask, half the distance to the goal line. It's going to be a first down.
And this came right at the end of the run. You'll get a look at it right here.
And we'll see who it is. Oh yeah, right there you see Caruso, Skylar Caruso, come in trying to make the tackle. He goes in just a bit too high and yanks on the face mask of Riley Buchanan, who now has 2 rushes for only 11 yards, but they've come at crucial times, both for first downs.
Peat the hole. Alex Peat will go 13 yards, and the Skyhawks a point from tying it up.
That will put Alex Peat over 100 yards on his 12th carry of the game. These 2 teams are trading blows back and forth here in the first half of the 4A state championship. We're in for a good one the rest of the way.
And now it's up to Adam Jaco. Johnsburg looking to come back from a 2-touchdown deficit. There are the numbers for Peat. Jaco coming right at you, and a penalty flag is thrown. That touchdown run by
ball,
Peat.
encroachment against the defense. Half the distance, replay the on-time down.
Covered 64 yards in 8 plays, took 2 minutes, and now Dan DeBuff, he could think about this with the ball going half the distance, but they'll say, let's just go get us one. We've got a good kicker out there in Adam Jaco, 64 of 70 extra points this season. He had the game-winning field goal against Phillips in the semifinal in overtime. Jaco's kick will tie it at 14. Johnsburg defense holding on downs. The offense capitalizes, and who would you go to? Alex Peat. You think the folks from Johnsburg who made this long trip are happy? Yes, they are. Alex Peat and his Skyhawks teammates, along with all those fans behind them, they truly believe. They have come here and have taken the offense, I think, to a point where a lot of people weren't quite sure because of only scoring 23 in the semis.
This team is hungry.
Yes.
This team and this community wants their first state championship in school history. And if they're going to get it, it's going to be on the back of that man right there, Alex Peat.
Jaco's had a couple of kickoffs go into the end zone. Again, the wind now seems to have shifted just a little bit, maybe blowing a little bit in Jaco's face. Still puts a good foot into it. And there will be a return from the 3. Avante Cox. Cox to the outside. He's in Johnsburg territory at the 40-yard line of the Skyhawks.
That is why it is so nice when you're Johnsburg, if you can put that ball in the end zone. A little bit of wind in the kicker's face. He's not able to get it all the way into the end zone. Cox grabs it at the 2, and he is off to the races. He is out the gate.
57 yards once he comes down at the 40. Well, not only do we have big offensive numbers from scrimmage, now the special teams numbers come up. Here comes Baker, out firing. Down the left side is Avante Cox. Cox reaches. Avante Cox, 40 yards. It took one play. Off the kickoff return, after the kickoff return to put Rochester back on top.
This is how explosive this Rockets offense can be. Avante Cox with a touchdown of his own. His brother has 2. Now Avante has 1 in the state title game. All he needs is just a little hole, a couple of blocks on the outside, and nobody from Johnsburg can catch him.
57-yard kickoff return, followed by a 40-yard touchdown pass. The extra point from Clay Aylwelt. And talk about striking quickly. That's what the Rockets do. Wednesday night, Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade and the Bulls eye their second win this month over the LA Lakers. You can stream it all on the NBC Sports app beginning at 7:30 with Bulls pregame live presented by Coors Light. The way those folks are bundled up, they're thinking and living football rather than the indoor game of basketball. The temperature is dipped here as we've gone on this evening. My partner Chris Highland still working in just a long sleeve shirt. I think you are the first. I think you're the first partner I have had in all the years I've done the state finals that doesn't have some sort of coat on. I don't know what your deal is.
I'm doing my best to tough it out. You know, I'm a football player at heart.
Yeah, you are.
I might have only been a long snapper in college, but gosh dang it, we're football players too, Dave.
All right. I think you're kind of nuts, but that's all right. This kickoff will not get in. It's not in the end zone. Yeah, it is. Okay, it just kept in there. Boy, that is a risky move from Blake Lemke.
Just barely hit the white of the goal line.
Johnsburg will start the drive.
I don't know why Lemke, with the wind at the kicker's back, is so far up. He's at about the 15-yard line, the 20-yard line. He's got to sprint backwards. The first bounce, it doesn't hit in the goal, in the end zone, but that second bounce right there.
I'm not taking a chance on an official's call on that one.
Barely hits the white. Wow. Johnsburg with a big break right there.
They'll start from their 20-yard line. That sequence from after Peat scored on a 13-yard run took 22 seconds, a kickoff return and a touchdown pass. It's a tough earned 2 yards. The stop made by number 20, Chase Kuntzman.
Kuntzman, the leading tackler by far on this Rochester team. You see that a lot with teams that have really good front four. You got 2 guys on the outside in Brewer and Mathis that we've already talked about, but Hedges and Johnson on the inside for Rochester. They take up a lot of blocks. It allows those linebackers to kind of roam free back there, and Kuntzman's got 150 tackles on the year.
Somehow Peat gets to the outside and then to the middle of the field. Where did he go? Where did he come from?
Ball carrier.
He's at the 40 and beyond.
Down by Sam Baker.
I tell you what, that's impressive. That is so impressive. The way he breaks tackles, the way he moves on the football field. He is so athletic. He's so smooth. I mean, just incredible how he makes people miss. Look at him, he's all over the field.
22 yards on that run from Peat and a first down. Ride the hot hand. And a loss. Great penetration from the left side. Number 71, Christian Hedges was there. He clogged it up.
Rochester.
Loss of 3.
Hedges now comes out, as we've seen him do when they get into these second and long situations. He usually makes a big play, gets a tackle for loss, and then he gets to come out of the ball game and let the pass rush specialist kind of get in there.
Buchanan to the near side. LaDolce. Uh-oh, too many blue jerseys for him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. Another loss.
You see Mickey McNicholas there.
By 42, Sam Baker.
Avante Cox. A couple of other Rochester Rockets in on the play. They smother up LaDolce. 3rd and long for Johnsburg.
Jack Cagle in the game. He split out wide to the right side. Great speed. Buchanan to keep it. And he never got a chance. It is 4th down and 10.
Riley Buchanan on the keeper. Brought down by Sam Baker.
He was wrapped up by Sam Baker, playing that middle linebacker position.
At the 44-yard line.
And Johnsburg will bring out the punting unit for the first time today.
Punter is Jaco. Counts all his players. He has 11.
Adam Jaco in punt formation.
And it will be Avante Cox deep. Flag thrown on the snap of the ball. Avante Cox waves everybody away from it. Let's see what's happening back at the line of scrimmage.
Tony flag on the play.
Dan DeBuff came to Johnsburg, coached a couple of years at Joliet West, 2 more years at Round Lake. He looked at this Johnsburg job and said, you know, there's an awful lot of good things happening here from a football perspective, but also from a community perspective for his family.
Legal formation against Johnsburg. 5 men in the backfield. We're going to replay 4th down after 5-yard penalty.
So Derek Leonard will make them kick it again.
Dan DeBuff, a young coach who's got a lot going for him. I really like the way he has brought this team together, brought this community around this team, kind of rallied the troops up there in Johnsburg. And this is a program on the rise with a young, promising head coach.
This time low, looking for the hop. And luckily for Avante Cox, he did not touch that ball. 38 yards in the punt. The advantage after the penalty goes to Johnsburg. You speak of the turnaround. 2011, Skyhawks were 0-9. Then in 2012, Mike Maloney's first year there, they were 0-9 again. The next year, 1-8, and then Maloney took a 1-8 team, turned it into 9-2. Maloney went on to Marion Central Catholic to become the head coach. Dan DeBuff stepped in, and this is his 2nd year, 21 wins. That's getting the job done.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
And the pitch will go to Avante Cox. And one of the few times he has not had running room. Plenty of time here for the Rockets. We're down to the final 3.5 in the first half. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead before Peat a couple of touchdown runs. Well, that is a tough feeling when you can get Colin Stallworth one-on-one in the open field.
It's a scary situation to be in if you're Adam Jaco, but he does a nice job of using the sideline to his advantage and forcing the 6'6" wide receiver out of bounds.
Baker waited a long time. Great job. He gets it to Avante Cox. And it will depend on the spot of the ball.
Jaco with another great play in space to bring down Avante Cox. Earlier in the quarter, we saw Baker have some trouble on the run. Unable to set his feet. They're going to give Rochester a first down. But he wasn't able to set his feet earlier in the quarter, and he was sacked. That time, Baker took his time, set his feet, and threw a strike over the middle to Cox for the first down.
To the near side. And another first down. Again, it's Avante Cox not taking kindly to Blake Lemke. Goes for 15 yards. Saw the difference in the passing numbers. Rochester 221 yards in a year.
First down, it's 1st and 10.
15 for Johnsburg.
40-yard line.
Rochester moving his ball, 3rd first down. Again, trying to get people in space. Stallworth for 1,000 yards receiving. He'll get about 4 there.
Baker's pass complete to Stallworth.
Rochester, like you said, they were over 240 yards through the air, but a lot of these passes are just like long handoffs. They're these quick games, screen passes, where you just get the ball out to some of your playmakers on the outside and let them work.
At the 30.
It has been very successful for Rochester here in the first half.
That's knocked down at the line, never had a chance. Good penetration. Joe Moore getting a tap on the back.
Baker's pass knocked down like 70. Joe Moore,
6'3", 260. He is truly the heart and soul of this defense.
He's a big body. He's a gap filler. They play that 3-man front. You know, and when you've only got a 3-man front, it allows you to make some plays on the outside and stick with some of the talent on the outside for Rochester. And when Joe Moore can get in there and fill gaps like he can, it really creates space.
Baker felt it, knew the left side was open, and that's where he takes it to the 35-yard line, a gain of 10. First down, Rockets.
And that's the danger that comes with only a 3-man rush and dropping everyone into coverage. Most of the linebackers for Johnsburg had their backs turned when Nick Baker takes that ball and decides to tuck it and run.
Everybody's pointing, and no flags are thrown.
You see, it looks like Johnsburg's going to bring some pressure. They've got a couple of linebackers creeping up to the line of scrimmage.
Baker on the move, finds his man inside the 5-yard line. Avante Cox.
Baker complete to Avante Cox.
Baker rolls out away from that pressure. As Joe Calhoun came on a stunt on the backside.
First down, Rochester.
You see Baker rolls out just a bit. And Cox is just sitting down right there in the void of the defense, waiting for Baker to find him. He finally does. And Rochester is in business inside the 5.
22-yard connection from Baker to Cox. Stretching into the end zone. And do they give it to him? Yes. 4-yard touchdown run. First touch of the game for Alec Ostermeyer. And that 2-touchdown lead for Rochester is back on the board.
The senior, who has over 900 yards on the year, gets his 21st touchdown on his first carry of the state title game. Rochester starting to open this one up.
Nine plays, 79 yards, took a minute 41 seconds, and that lead goes back to 28-14.
See the replay right at the goal line. Ostermeyer stretches for the orange paint, and he just gets there before his elbow and knee come down. He's in the end zone, and Rochester's up by 14.
Now we have swung back and forth. There was 2 touchdown receptions from Avante Cox to make it 14-0 Rochester, and that was with 4:18 to play in the first quarter. Then Alex Peat answered with a couple of touchdown runs to tie us at 14, and right back here in the last 5 minutes. Touchdown pass from Baker to Cox. Ostermeyer's run, 28-14, that 79-play drive. And I have a feeling there that Alec Ostermeyer snuck a look at the big board here.
Isn't that great? These guys, you know, they're still just kids. They get the biggest kick out of being on this big stage like this, and good for them. They should enjoy this moment.
Blake Lemke deep. He has 5 return touchdowns this season. See whether he gets a chance to touch this ball. He will. Or not. He got the touch into the end zone, and that denies him of an opportunity to make something happen. Johnsburg to start at their 20 with exactly 2 minutes to play here in the first half.
Let's see what the Skyhawks can do here on this possession. If they can chew some clock and maybe keep this ball for most of these 2 minutes, try and keep the ball away from Rochester because they can score quickly. So you want to take up as much time as you can here and then maybe try and score. Don't forget, Rochester elected to take the ball in the first half. So even though it's a 2-score game right now, you got to think, if you're Johnsburg, if we can go down the field, march methodically down the field in these 2 minutes, and maybe score one right before half, we're going to get the ball to start the second half. And a couple of minutes into the third quarter, we could be looking at another tie ball game.
Derek Leonard looks at his scoreboard. He has all 3 timeouts remaining. So if he can get a stop on a short game, we may see Rochester use some timeouts. There is a short run on first down. Well, you just paid Rochester the ultimate respect when you said there's 2 minutes left. You want Johnsburg to use some of the clock so Rochester can't get the ball back.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw Rochester score on 1 play already. All it took was 1 good kick return and then a 40-yard screen pass, and they were on the board.
Looking to get out of bounds. LaDolce will get there. Look out, our officials get tied up. And that will stop the clock with a minute 29, still 2 yards short of a first down here on third down.
Trying to get as many yards as he can is LaDolce before he is finally taken out by Avante Cox and Mikey McNichols.
LaDolce, baseball player for the Skyhawks. Pretty important third down right here. Buchanan, they have it. He had to throw that ball right in a spot, and he found Chuck Curry.
And into some tough coverage. Curry is being blanketed by the Rochester Rockets, and he's able to get his hands on that one and hold on for the first down.
Peat, can he squirt through? That's a touchdown saving tackle by Skylar Caruso.
And just like that, Johnsburg's in business. They're across the 50, 1:14 left to go. The official is going to wind the clock here.
23 yards.
Johnsburg moving quickly. They've still got 2 timeouts if they need to use them.
24-yard run by Peat. He's going to get a few more here inside the 35. This may be a time to take it with 60 seconds left in the first half. Johnsburg to the line in a hurry.
9, second down and 1 at the 34-yard line.
Again, a sideline pass, and that will stop the clock. Nice job, LaDolce. Boy, Buchanan's been on the money here this drive.
He really has.
One quarterback talking to a former quarterback there on the sidelines.
30-yard line.
Riley Buchanan has brought this team from the 20 to the 30 of Rochester.
I wonder if Johnsburg is going to try and take a shot at the end zone here. We haven't really seen them try and go over the top of this Rochester defense. Maybe they can try and catch this Rochester defense off guard.
No gain.
That was a very, very rough exchange as Danny DeBuff is going to take his second timeout of the half.
We got a timeout, Johnsburg. Second one of the first half.
It looked like that was some sort of read option between Riley Buchanan and Alex Peat. And you see Riley Buchanan almost doesn't want to give Peat the ball. And then he finally decides, okay, yeah, Peat, you can take this one, Alex. And it almost squirts right out of Alex Peat's hands. They're lucky he's able to hold on to it. Gain 1 yard. It'll be 2nd and 9 after this timeout.
Alex Peat has been a monster here in the first half for Johnsburg. 19 carries, 163 yards, and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, you know, we saw a pretty good running performance, I would say, in the 3A game, wouldn't you, Dave? We saw a record-breaking performance by Jordan Roll of Elmhurst IC. And Alex Peat is having himself a day as well in the 4A state game. He's got 163 yards already on just 19 carries. What a special talent he is. See how hard he runs there? He gallops his way to the sideline. Averaging about 8.5 yards a carry here this evening. He's gotten looks from some Missouri Valley Conference teams like Illinois State, Southern Illinois, Indiana State. But I have a feeling after this game and this performance, there might be a few other teams calling Alex Peat in the coming weeks.
They faked the reverse, and Rochester did not bite.
Riley Buchanan might have had a couple options. They had Alex Peat rolling out of the backfield, trying to slip behind the defense. They also had LaDolce
timeout.
on the backside.
Johnsburg.
LaDolce was on the backside of that, but the play just takes too long to develop. As you see here, Peat, see, he fakes the block, and then, oh, you're not going to see it there, but he slips out and tries to run a wheel route down the sideline, but it just takes too long to develop. Mikey McNicholas is all over it before they can get things going.
McNicholas came into the game with 6.5 sacks. You know, and actually, right there, Buchanan's pretty lucky that McNicholas didn't get his hand in there for a strip, because I don't think Buchanan ever felt number 85 coming down his back. Coming up at halftime, we will have stats and highlights. Annie and Edgy. That's a pretty good combination right there. Annie and Edgy.
That's great.
Sound like like a
sounds like a new sitcom.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
They'll be with you at halftime. We hope to get a chance with whichever coach is leading. We would normally say that certainly looks like it would be Derek Leonard, but the way this game has gone, there's explosions to be had here. Big play here, 3rd down and long, 3rd and 18 for Johnsburg. Buchanan under pressure. Cannot escape it. And now Derek Leonard quickly to call a timeout for Rochester. He wants that ball back.
It's Mikey McNicholas again.
Rochester, first start timeout of the first half.
Riley Buchanan making something out of nothing there. It looked like he was about to go down for a 5 or 6 yard loss. He ends up gaining a couple of yards, giving Johnsburg a little bit more of a chance. This is a tough situation if you are head coach Dan DeBuff. Do you go for it here? Do you try and pick up that first down? If you don't, you're going to give Rochester some pretty decent field position. You could just try and do a little bit of a pooch punt and try and down Rochester inside the 10-yard line. And if I'm reading his lips correctly, I think he just called for a field goal.
This would be a long one from Jaco. That would be beyond 50 yards.
51 probably, into a little bit of a win.
Well, Jaco right there, number 12, is talking to. Well, Jaco's out there. Keep an eye out for a possible fake here.
Fake or even a pooch punt out of a field goal situation. I've seen teams, and we practiced it in college, where you just snap it directly to that kicker. As you see, Rochester is going to send someone back. It looks like Avante Cox underneath the goalposts.
51-yard attempt, if he does indeed kick it. Nope. And here is the fake to the near side. There's some room. A first down. On the reception, the tight end, Bryce Jordan. It goes for 15 yards.
I am shocked that Rochester wasn't ready for that. What a play call by Dan DeBuff and the Skyhawks of Johnsburg to call a fake field goal with under a minute to go. They spike the ball, and now they've got 15 seconds to try and score. But coming out of a timeout, you have to prepare your team for a situation like that. You have to be telling them, watch out for the fake, especially when it's a 51-yard try into the wind. You have to say, watch out for that fake. And look, you just see him come across the formation there to grab that ball and run down the sideline. Bryce Jordan picks up the huge first down, and now they've only got 2 seconds. They got to snap this ball. They do.
Buchanan to the end zone. Intercepted! Spectacular interception from Avante Cox.
What an interception. What a play by Avante Cox. Johnsburg's a little bit flustered. They have to get to the ball and snap it quickly because the play clock was at 1 second. It's tipped up in the air. I think LaDolce gets a hand on it, as well as Cox. You're going to see it. What a great angle here by some of our cameramen. Nice work to get that interception. It's tipped and then it is caught for the interception. Rochester dodges a bullet as they take a 2-score lead into halftime.
That was the 12th play of the drive for Johnsburg, and in a game full of offense, the defense comes up big for the Rockets. An early 2-touchdown lead for Rochester, only to see the game tied at 14. We go to halftime with a 2-touchdown lead for Rochester, bidding for their 6th state championship in 7 years.
I mean, if you're Johnsburg, you have to feel good about that drive that you were able to create. But man, how deflating is that you're on the doorstep, about to get this to a 1-score game, and Rochester just stops you dead in your tracks with a huge play on defense.
So the fans will take a little bit of a breather. Big time offensive numbers here in this one.
Gentlemen, for your halftime entertainment.
28-14, Rochester on top by 14. Derek Leonard standing by. And Coach, we've got the offensive numbers we expected. 293 for you. Any surprises here in the first half?
No, you know, they're doing a good job keeping the ball from us. I wish we'd have more possessions. You know, we messed up the one possession on the double pass, and that was my fault, stupid call. But they're doing what we expected. We just got to keep. We got to stop them. We got to stop the run. That kid runs hard. Their O-line's good, and we got to stop that.
That was a big stop you just got right now with them coming all the way down the field on you.
Yeah, big time. They saved me for calling that timeout. I wanted the ball back with about 25 seconds. They faked it. Good call by Coach. And but, man, Deontay saved me, so we're lucky we got him.
That's not the only time he's probably saved you this year, right?
No, yeah. They've all saved me a lot, so making me look better than I am.
All right, good luck in the second half.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right,
Bye-bye.
That's Derek Leonard, the head coach for Rochester. The Rockets on top by a couple of scores. We have had 237 yards of offense from Johnsburg, 293 from Rochester, 6 touchdowns. What more do you want? Your 4A championship game.
28-14 in the 4A state championship matchup between Rochester and Johnsburg. Rochester doing a great job in the passing game. Nick Baker to Avante Cox, quite the combination there. And that's what we talked about before the game. We could expect a lot out of those two, and we're seeing a lot out of those two.
Kind of how we drew it up in the pregame. And again, it's just, you know, you mentioned the combination between Baker and the Cox twins. And it's just, it's playing out is what we thought. And obviously, when that happens, we have a very entertaining game, to say the least.
Definitely. On the other end, we have Alex Peat with 19 carries for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. We talked about containing that kid, and Coach, even going into the half, said that kid can run hard, and that's exactly what he's doing.
That kid can run hard, and again, Alex Peat is a 4-year varsity starter. He's a young man. I mean, he is the emotional leader of this team. Big players, big stage, he's making the plays, and that's what you expect out of him, and he's delivering.
Quite an end to the first half with a unique play call by Dan DeBuff for the fake field goal with under a minute left. They get the first down, and then psych, Rochester gets the ball back quickly. You
know, the most frustrating part about Rochester, Annie, is you think you're getting close. It's like someone that shovels out their driveway by hand. And then here comes the neighbor with the brand new snowplow. That's Rochester. You think you're close, you work. Boom, all of a sudden they get a 14-point lead separating you. Again, if you're Rochester, just keep digging away.
Edgy Tim with the analysis. We'll be back after this with the country financial memorable moments.
My name is Mark Hunt. I went to Lincoln Community High School down in Lincoln, Illinois, graduated in 1984. I've been with country since 2000. My senior year, I won state in humorous duet acting and dramatic duet acting. Being a team member of that high school speech team really wasn't about the state championships. It wasn't really about being in the newspaper. It was about being part of a team. It was really about someone believing in you. It was about someone believing in you more than you believed in yourself. As we sit at a kitchen table with someone, perhaps I'm speaking to you and you've got little kids and you want them to dream and you want them to go to Purdue or U of I or ISU or Harvard. How can we believe in you maybe more than you believe in yourself? It's that guidance, it's that understanding, it's that listening that was important to me as a youth. And that's how we as a company operate today.
(28-14), Rochester up, but it's been a very tough battle. It hasn't been easy for them.
No, not at all. Back and forth as we had kind of hoped and expected, and quite a few highlights to take a look at.
Yeah, let's take a look at those highlights. In the first half, Rochester's number 5, Avante Cox, touchdown reception.
Again, just got behind the DB, and whenever Avante does that, look out.
Again, Avante, touchdown.
I mean, this is just pretty.
Rochester.
Look at this. This is just pretty. Across the middle, ran through cross traffic, and here he is in the end zone.
Such a dynamic player. What if I told you there were 2 of them? Johnsburg now, number 5, Jack Kegel.
Again, just a play that sets up this next one here as Alex Peat goes kind of off tackle and again off to the races.
Johnsburg, number 7 there with the touchdown run. Again, number 7 here. That's Alex Peat, and he's had.
Once he gets through that line of scrimmage, he's really tough to bring down there.
Right here we have
Avante Cox.
Avante Cox back at it again.
Again, just
huge kickoff return.
in open field, he's just so tough to catch.
And we have the twin.
Here we go.
Not a twin, but his brother.
Deontay is
Cox.
just as capable, and again, you get him in open space, and he's going to make things happen.
Next up, number 32, Alec Ostermeyer with the touchdown run. Short touchdown run, but hey, a touchdown is a touchdown.
And yes, folks, they can run the ball every once in a while.
Wrapping things up for the first half was this stellar interception by Deontay Cox. That's number 1.
Again, you're knocking on the door, and here comes one of the Cox twins again, making a huge play to end the half.
Stellar performance by Rochester. We will be back with more action right after this.
It's 28-14 here at the half, just moments away from getting started with our second half kickoff. Dave Bernhardt along with Chris Hyland. We standing here, Chris, we're thinking, what do we want to talk about? What do we want to talk about? My thought is, I'm an announcer, but boy, I'm a fan in this game. I'm loving this.
This is a great football game. I mean, this is 2 really good teams, 2 really good offenses that are playing well at the right time. Rochester started hot, Johnsburg responded. And so we'll see now that Rochester has kind of stretched that lead again to 2 scores, can Johnsburg, getting the ball to start the second half, respond one more time and make this a close game again? Well,
it's been a case of there have been some stops and some turnovers, and in the end, it's been up to the offenses that have done their job.
You're right, and the 2 Cox brothers. We should really talk about them. Avante and Deontay Cox coming up huge in the kicking game with a big kick return, a couple of touchdown receptions, and also that big interception at the end of the second half, the end of the second quarter that kept this a 2-score game for Rochester. And on the other side of the ball, Johnsburg, it's all about Alex Peat. He has really been running the ball well. The All-Stater, who's over 5,000 yards in his career, is off to a hot start early on in this game.
And his head coach, Dan DeBuff, is standing by right now. We're speaking of Alex Peat, coach, and what more can this young man do for you here tonight?
He's playing really well. He's running the ball really tough. He's showing he's not only got the speed, but the determination to finish those runs, and we're going to keep giving him the ball in the second half here.
And as great as your defense is, this is an offense that is just so high-powered. It can get you so many different ways. What can you do differently here in the last 2 quarters?
Sure. We talked a little bit about weathering the storm, and they got on us a little bit early. I think we're going to calm down in the second half and get some big stops.
Coach, how do you think your team has responded? This is the first state title game in your school's history. How do you think the guys are responding to this kind of game so far early on, this big game?
I think they've responded well. I mean, this is a really good football team, and we knew it was going to be tough to stop them. I think the big test will be what we do in the second half here to try to bounce back.
All right, good luck. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, that's Dan DeBuff, the head coach at Johnsburg. His team trails 28-14. We're looking for a great final 24 minutes. It is the 4A championship game on CSN. The 2016 IHSA Football State Championships are brought to you by Country Financial. Country Financial will help you build a plan with insurance and financial solutions to help get you to where you want to go. Call your local rep at 1-866-COUNTRY or visit countryfinancial.com. And you're looking at Memorial Stadium here in the campus of the University of Illinois. Some folks getting all set for the second half. This is game 4 of 4 today, and then hard to believe we're going to start it all over tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. We've got 5A through 8A state champions to be crowned. So make sure you join us right back here. Whatever you're watching right now, make sure you tune it back on at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. There's Derek Leonard looking for his 6th state championship in the last 7 years. His dad will be in action tomorrow, the second game of this weekend, or second game of Saturday on this championship weekend. And you know, the last 2 times that they were both here together the same year, 2013, 2014, they both won state championships.
You know what, this is such a great time of year, and this weekend packed with good football, just up and down the lineup, 1 through 8A. So many powerhouse teams and big games. We've seen, you know, Maroa Forsyth today in 2A, even though they lost. That's a team that's been to a number of state finals in the last couple of years. A DMAC team who's made 27 playoff appearances, beat them in 2A. I mean, you had Elmhurst IC in the last game. You've got Rochester and Johnsburg here, and the list just goes on and on tomorrow. Should be a really fun day.
Johnsburg's going to get the ball first here to start the third quarter. Rochester, as we have mentioned a couple of times, won the toss. They wanted the ball in the first quarter, so it will be an opportunity once again for this Johnsburg offense, which got it all the way down inside the 5-yard line to close out the half before the interception stopped their drive. They have an opportunity to make something happen here early, and I think, Chris, they kind of need to make really a move here, and so hopefully for them, result in points.
Yeah, they do. You know, the Rochester offense is high-powered. They are going to score. If Johnsburg can get something going early, that certainly helps your cause, and this big kick return is going to help with field position out to about the 35-yard line.
Blake Lemke, only 5'9", 170, brings that kickoff back 31 yards and gives the Skyhawks good field position. Johnsburg comes into this game 13-0, first undefeated regular season they had since 2004. Of course, they've added 4 victories to that here in the playoffs. Got here by virtue of a 23-20 overtime win over last year's 4A champions, Phillips. Rochester 12-1 on the season. And they'll start it with Peat. Alex Peat.
There's been a couple of times that Peat has almost gotten loose, and the Rockets are able to bring him down with a shoestring tackle. That time it's just shy of a first down. And Dave, going back to your point, I wouldn't say that this is kind of a must-score drive for Johnsburg, but it feels like it's very close, because if you're not going to score on this drive, you better bring your defense to start this second half, and you better be able to stop Rochester on their first possession as well.
That was the 20th carry of the night from Peat. He may get that ball 20 times here in this second half. He has enough for a first down there. On the stop, we've called his name a few times. That's Mikey McNicholas, 210-pound junior. Very, very active linebacker.
He's had 62 tackles before the day started. He's got a lot more now. 6.5 sacks. He had 7 tackles in the semis. And just a guy who's all over the field. Like you said, Coach Leonard thinks he can play Division I football.
Peat wrapped up after just a couple of yards. And that was certainly a focus in the Rochester locker room. You know, how do we close these gaps? And in terms of gaps, it doesn't take much for Peat, but how does Rochester close those gaps?
Well, one of the ways you do it is with Christian Hedges, the 6', 240-pound defensive tackle, shooting the gap here. Look at how quick he gets off this block. You see him right there. Get down the line and make that play on Peat for a short gain.
To the near side, they'll get it to Curry, and that may lose yardage.
That screen game has not really worked for Johnsburg as of late, because the Rochester defense just swarms to the football. They get 11 hats on the ball every single play that they can. And they're so fast, and they're so quick, and they're so athletic that their defensive linemen and their middle linebackers, who are typically some of the slower guys on your defense, are able to run sideline to sideline.
And Edwards intercept that 45-yard line. I don't know whether Riley Buchanan saw Skylar Caruso. But Rochester to start in Johnsburg territory.
Buchanan had his eyes locked on the same receiver the entire play. And you're right, I don't think he ever saw Caruso cutting across the defensive secondary to come over there and pick that ball off before it can get to Connor Bell. Buchanan with the interception, and Rochester is in business.
Baker will manage to get a couple of yards. You know, we've heard all about Nick Baker and his throwing prowess and the numbers we flash at you. 2,400 yards coming into this game, 28 touchdowns. He has some pretty nice feet back there and some great pocket awareness.
You see he's 18 for 21. That's a lot of balls to throw in one half. On pace for over 40 passes in this game. And he hasn't even played every offensive snap.
3 incompletions and over 20 passes attempted. Just a junior. And another one. And room. Sideline. Inside the 15-yard line. Avante Cox. They get him the ball and off he goes. 35 yards.
Avante Cox is making me look really smart right now for making him my player to watch for Rochester. Thank you to Avante Cox, because he has been all over the field today. A huge kick return that set up his twin brother for a touchdown, and he has had a number of big plays himself, including 2 first-quarter touchdowns.
Ostermeyer has a touchdown run today. There won't be much there.
Nick Baker is a special talent, Dave. I want to go back to him. We talked a little bit about him before the last play, that long pass to Cox. He hasn't been able to show off that arm very much, but man, he has a strong arm. Coach said it's one of the strongest arms he's ever coached, and Coach Leonard, has had some very good quarterbacks at Rochester. He said it might be the strongest arm since the man who plays on this field on Saturdays, Will Lunt.
Baker inside the 5-yard line to about the 4. Well, he's definitely the shortest quarterback that Derek Leonard has had. 5 feet 9 inches tall. Leonard says, well, I finally have a quarterback as short as I am. Of course, Derek Leonard, a quarterback himself, played for his dad at Sacred Heart Griffin. He, along with assistant coach J.C. Clark, played at SHG. Third down, Ostermeyer has it blocked up, and he has about a yard and a half to go for a first down here. They need to get inside the 1 on 4th down now.
They can get a first down, but they only picked up about a yard on that play. It's going to be 4th and about 2, maybe 2.5, and about 4th and 3 to get to the goal line. But Rochester's going for it here, trying to keep their foot on the throttle.
And on the flip side of that, this is a must stop for the Skyhawks. To the air. On the ground, and down he goes. The sack from Jack Cagle.
What a play by the junior. He's only 5'9", 180. But in that Phillips game in the semifinals, I tell you what, he came off the edge with his hair on fire a couple of times to stop Chicago Phillips, force a couple turnovers, and get a couple tackles for loss. Wow, what a play by the junior. Right when the Skyhawks needed it, he comes up big with the sack. Johnsburg takes over on downs. That 3-man front for Johnsburg was a bit of a question coming into this game. How would Rochester match up with that 3-man front? But the way Johnsburg can bring pressure on defense with guys like Cagle certainly helps. And on offense, yeah, we can run it with this guy, Alex Peat.
Peat to the outside. Can he get to the corner? He'll run out of bounds across the 40-yard line. There was a lot of green, and give Rochester credit for closing down some of it, denying and turning Peat to change directions. He goes for 29 yards, and it could have been more.
You know, just about 2 minutes ago, Rochester is knocking on the door of a 3-score lead and putting this ball game almost out of reach for Johnsburg. And now, just like that, they're across the 40, nearing midfield, and it seems like Johnsburg has all the momentum.
You know, and if you're sitting in those Rochester stands on the east side of this field, every time number 7 touches the ball, you just flinch.
Yeah.
He's the capability of breaking it all the way. He's gone over 200 yards, Alex Peat, here today, and he's not done yet. There it is, up to date, almost 10 yards per carry for Peat.
I don't think anybody on the Rochester side feels comfortable with this two-score lead right now, I would say. Nobody on the sideline, nobody in the stands. They know what a good team Johnsburg is, and they're going to put up a fight to the end.
Buchanan to keep, nose down for a yard.
Riley Buchanan, the keeper.
Now a third and a little over 5 yards to go for a first down.
By 66, Austin Mathis.
Buchanan makes that long run all the way over to the near sideline. Didn't have much of a conversation with his head coach. Got the play.
Just a play, and that's it.
There we go. We'll call it 3rd and 6. Already crossed the midway point here in the 3rd quarter. Peat. That's close. Looks like he'll be a little short.
Peat ball carrier.
Boy, doesn't it feel like we've had so many of these key plays?
Big 3rd and 4th downs, big decision-making plays in this game. And that's because this is 2 evenly matched teams, and this game has been so tight that every play or every down seems like it's do or die on 3rd or 4th down. And Johnsburg's going to go for it again. We've seen them get under center just a couple of times. This is the first time they hand the ball off to Peat under center.
He knew where he had to get. The sticks were right in front of him, and he picks up that first down by a yard.
Every time we've seen Buchanan go under center, he's just kind of tried the quarterback sneak. That time they give it to Peat, he bounces it outside, and he gets the easy first down.
It's 25th carry of the night. We're saying we're looking for him in the Wildcat formation. We've not seen that yet today. We used it heavily against Phillips. He's clipped up in the middle of the line. It may have been number 20, Chase Kuntzman, that got down low.
Tackled by Chase Kuntzman.
Johnsburg, the first time ever they've been in the title game. In fact, last week was the first time they had ever been in a semifinal, and blocking their path the last 2 years was Phillips before they knocked off the Wildcats, defending 4A champs in that semifinal. No gain on that last play. Not much, if any, there.
You know, Dave, it's no surprise that this team is playing so well in this championship game. We talked to Coach DeBuff earlier this week, and he said that their confidence is just through the roof, and they are ready to play this game. You said it, that road bump for them the last couple of years has been Phillips. They could not get past Chicago Phillips, and this year they beat Phillips in the semifinal, and they knew that they were going to face a good Rochester team in the state championship, but they said, you know what, we're ready for it because we've been battle tested. We have played Chicago Phillips, a very good team. We've played other good teams this year, and we're going to be prepared for this game.
Looking for 9 yards, and another interception. It came off a deflection. We have been trading interceptions, and Avante Cox will get this pick. So in a game full of offense, it's been defensive plays that have dictated play, especially in the 3rd quarter. Riley Buchanan, 8 of 14. He's thrown 3 interceptions, 1 to Skylar Caruso, 1 to Deontay Cox, and the most recent one to Avante Cox. And there have been a couple of these deflections that have been tipped around and banged up into the air, and there's always been a blue jersey there.
Yeah, that time there was 2 wide receivers and 3 defenders in the same area, and a couple of Rochester Rockets get a hand on it before Cox is able to come down with the interception.
So we sit at the score that we had at halftime. 28-14. Matt White. For White, it's only the 3rd time he has touched the ball today. White, big member of this team. Wide receiver, running back, broke his foot before the season. Had a dislocated elbow as well in week 6 and returned in the 2nd round of the playoffs. Boy, Baker delivers that ball so nicely on the run, and he gets it to Avante Cox. Has one of the tight spirals, and Eric says he gets so much spin on the ball.
Tackle by number 10, Riley Cannon.
So rolling out here again. Sets his feet just barely and gets rid of the ball. Just that little set of the feet and square of the shoulders. He's able to put a little more zip on the ball and get it out to Cox on the sideline.
First down run from White.
The first down
Change to move. That is the 17th first down for Rochester. Johnsburg also with 17 first downs.
White wants to play in college too, but he's undecided. He hasn't played very many games, only about 4 or 5 he's been healthy for this year.
Baker, just let that one fly. Saw the arm of the 5'9" junior there. Nice quick release. Just a bit too much on that one. How about the offense in this game? Johnsburg 294 yards, Rochester 344, and we still have 2:20 to play here in the 3rd quarter.
2 high-powered teams. I mean, this is exactly what you want in a state title game. 2 teams that have put up some points and some yards this year, and they have certainly brought their best offense here to Champaign today. Rochester, you look down their schedule, they only scored under 30 once. It was that loss. They only scored 28 points against SHG.
And Rochester will take a timeout.
Rochester.
There was a little confusion on that entire sequence. You saw that Baker looking over to Derek Leonard, who of course calls all the plays.
Johnsburg, no slouch of their own on offense, Dave. I mean, this is another team that's put up just so many impressive numbers over the season. 56 in the first game of the playoffs. They also scored 56 in week 6 of the regular season.
We have some playmakers in this ball game. How about a junior quarterback for Rochester, Nick Baker, 20 of 24, 304 yards.
It's his first touchdown pass of the game. It came on the first drive for Rochester, and it goes to Avante Cox. That one just about a minute 30 into the ball game. And here he gets it to the other playmaker on the other side, Deontay Cox. In the 2nd quarter, a 40-yard screen pass that goes for 6. He can even do it on the run. You see him finding the open man, Avante in the open field. Baker here coming across the middle. It's Deontay. It goes back and forth from Avante to Deontay.
Look at this formation here for Rochester. Here, guards and tackles split beyond the hash marks. And it opens it up for Baker. He'll get to the 41-yard line. 14 yards on the run for Baker. They just opened up the field for him.
Yeah, that's an interesting formation. You see the 2 eligible receivers head downfield, and the safety decides to blitz, and that opens up a void in the middle of the field, and Baker takes advantage.
Penalty flags come down at that snap.
Dead ball start. That's number 8, Rochester. 5-yard penalty, replay first down.
It'll be 1st and 15 as we come up on the 2-minute mark here in the third quarter. We've had no scoring in this period. Baker the long look, and you see Ostermeyer shifting from the right side to the left side of Baker. And a fumbled exchange between Ostermeyer and Baker.
It looks like Rochester jumped on it. The Rockets get a break as they fall on the fumble. Yeah, just not a clean mesh. Baker didn't put the ball far enough into Ostermeyer's stomach. And Baker's able to be Johnny on the spot, jump right on it, and get on, give Rochester life.
A lot of time here for Baker, going deep just a bit too much. Blake Lemke on the coverage of Avante Cox. Number 1 versus number 1.
Third down, 3rd and 15.
I remember back when this was a 14-14 game. That was after Peat had a touchdown run midway portion of the second quarter, and then in a span of 22 seconds, Avante Cox returns a kickoff 57 yards. Deontay Cox on the very next play catches a 40-yard touchdown pass, and Rochester has held the lead since then. That's a great throw on the move from Baker.
That really is. That really is, and right at the sticks too.
15 yards to Avante Cox.
Knowing exactly where the sticks are. That's a senior move by a talented senior wide receiver to get right to that first down marker and just stop right there. Just sit there and wait for your quarterback to find you. That's what he did.
155 yards receiving from Avante Cox, 152 yards from Deontay. They each have 9 receptions. They're twins.
They've got all but 13 of the passing yards in the game today.
3 of the 4 touchdowns. Ostermeyer has some room. Nice pickup on first down.
That's the man who has the other touchdown for Rochester, and that's his longest carry of the day.
We didn't see much of Ostermeyer until he scored that touchdown. In fact, Ostermeyer's first carry of the game came with 2 minutes to play in the first half. Here's the 10th play of the drive, and Ostermeyer will get it again. Derek Leonard says, let's just keep this on the ground. Saw something there he liked, and off he goes.
Maybe he wants to chew a little bit of clock. We're nearing the end of the third quarter, as that moves the chains. As you see Coach Leonard there, always looks like he's unhappy with something, but that's just a coach's nature. And when you're a coach's son, I think that's just built into your DNA. You always want to be just a little bit better. And you know what? Whatever he's doing down there at Rochester, it's working.
Alec Ostermeyer, the ball
Ostermeyer again with the carry.
Down by 57.
You know, this program, the football program, only 22 years old. As Derek told us in the interview this week, he said about 80% of his parents, of his players, never played football.
It's unbelievable. He said, I asked him, you know, what's going on down there, Coach? And he said, you know, I've just got a great bunch of kids. The community believes in this program, and the kids just buy in. They love football down there. They all want to play football. He's got 90 to 100 kids on every single team, and this is just a program that continues to roll.
Jesse Mercado got that last carry, his first here in the 4A championship game. And it's the Rockets on top by 14 after 3. Starting Monday, December 5th, break away from the same old sports shows and get your social on with In the Loop on CSN. It's your fast-paced, fresh daily take on sports, featuring trending topics, viral videos, and you. In the Loop with Luke Stuckmeyer and Layla Rahimi premieres Monday, December 5th at 6 on CSN. Dave Bernhardt, Chris Highland with you here. We've reached the fourth quarter of our 4A championship ball game. Rochester on the move, looking to build on a 28-14 lead, and they may just do it right here. Touchdown! First play of the fourth quarter. It goes to Deontay Cox for 15 yards and a score.
Deontay says to his brother Avante, hey, anything you can do, I can do better. They both have 2 touchdown receptions on the night now, as Deontay slips a couple of tackles and gets to the pylon. Rochester opens up. They're about to be up by 3 touchdowns.
That is the 4th touchdown pass thrown by Nick Baker, who has now thrown for 335 yards. Extra point coming right at you. So the Rockets, after a scoreless third quarter, come out 1 play, touchdown here in the 4th. Deontay, as Chris said, matches his brother. They each have 2. Rochester comes and gets you in a hurry. How about a 13-play drive? It covered 68 yards, and it took 3 minutes and 33 seconds. They are so tough to defend.
That's quick. That's really quick. A 3-minute drive is typically 6-8 plays maybe. But Rochester, man, they can get 13 plays into 3 minutes and 33 seconds.
Boy, that's a tough spot for a return for Jared Berggren, and he will pay the price. And now the flag late.
That might get him further back towards the goal line. The way the official threw that flag and looked at one of the Johnsburg players, it looked like it might have been a late hit or something on a Johnsburg player, but I'm not sure. It is going to be a personal foul, it looks like, on Johnsburg.
Dead ball. Personal foul. 55 White. Half the distance to goal line. First down.
So the tough just got tougher as the Skyhawks will start from their own 5-yard line. Nick Baker is in the record books along with 4 others for a title game record. 4 touchdown passes for Baker, 335 yards. He's completed 22 of 27. Now looking to get out of trouble, they give it to Peat. Boy, he is always just 1 tackle away from taking it the distance. He gets to that second level in a hurry.
Avante Cox.
Johnsburg needs to run off some plays in a hurry now. Buchanan's thrown 3 interceptions. Over the middle and nearly a deflected interception. The ball hit the hands of Chuck Curry.
28, Connor Craig, complete.
Second down and 5. Still got to give the ball to Peat here. You can't forget that you have an all-state running back who's top 10 in the IHSA in your backfield. I know you're down by 3 scores. There's still enough time left in this game. We're not even a minute into the 4th quarter. Peat can still make a difference for you.
Looking for 5 yards. Instead, down goes Buchanan under immediate pressure from Sean Brewer. He's looking to match his brother Connor, who was a right tackle on the 2014 state champs.
Buchanan is just swallowed up before he can make any sort of decision on what to do with this ball. You see Brewer on the twist come from his defensive end position to the middle of the field and just swallow Buchanan. 4th and long for Johnsburg. They're forced to punt. And yeah, guess who's back for Rochester? 1 and 5. I wouldn't kick it to either one of them. I'd kick it into the stands.
Instead, from the 37-yard line, Avante Cox to the outside, a blocker in front. And inside the 10-yard line, Avante Cox, the punt return. 30 yards on the return, and you are right, Chris Highland. You don't want to give them a chance to touch the ball.
And you know what? It doesn't take a whole lot of smarts. I'm not that smart of a guy, Dave. It doesn't take a whole lot of smarts to see what these Cox boys have done in this game. I mean, it's just you can't kick the ball to these guys. They're so talented, and they're so fast. That low line drive kick gives Avante plenty of time to run up to that ball and make a play.
At quarterback, Josh Grant will take that snap.
Josh
now a 2nd and goal. See if Grant stays in. Looks like he will. He's going to get. Oh, he's going to get a signal from his coach, but instead we'll roll with the regular quarterback, Nick Baker. And a pitch forward to Avante Cox.
Shovel pass to Avante Cox.
It's a bit of a nifty play right there. You think that it's going to be a fly sweep when you see that motion, but instead Cox puts on the brakes and they just do the little shovel pass, try and get it right up the middle. But Jack Kegel's right there. He's got a good motor off the edge. He's quick, makes a play for Johnsburg.
Third down and goal. Baker, too much. Stallworth may be 6'6". He had to be about 8'6" to go get that one.
Stallworth, incomplete.
And fourth and goal.
Coach Leonard with a decision here, taking some time to decide. I don't think he's made a decision yet. Rochester, not sure what they want to do.
Well, I don't think there's field goal on that sheet he's looking at. But then again, maybe there is.
I think it was at the bottom in very small print, Dave. Just in case, you do have the option to kick this, Coach. It was the last option left, though. And reluctantly, he sends his field goal unit out there.
Freshman kicker Clay Elwell, one of 2 field goals this season. And this one will make him 2 of 3 and give Rochester the 38-14 lead.
24-yard field goal.
Comes 3 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Coach still talking to his quarterbacks after that drive. Stalled inside the 10-yard line. They were first and goal after the big punt return from Avante Cox. Johnsburg able to hold.
Offense, but wait, turnovers make a difference in this one, setting up offense. This was a huge interception by Avante Cox to close out the first half.
And that one, I don't think he ever saw the defender as he steps in front of that pass. Rolling out this time, there's 2 wide receivers there. A couple of Rochester Rockets get a hand on it. Deontay almost got his second interception of the game, but it's his brother Avante, who comes up with that big interception.
So you have an interception for Skylar Caruso. He had the middle of those 3 you saw. Interception for Deontay and Avante. They both have Deontay and Avante 2 touchdowns. They each have 10 receptions. Deontay with 167 yards receiving. Avante 155 yards. 38-14. Rochester 9 minutes and 5 seconds away from their 6th state championship in the last 7 years. Fair catch was called at the 30-yard line. It was called by Bergman, and now that offense comes on, and you know, at what point do you say, well, we have to still give it to Peat because he is still our home run threat?
I mean, you have to trust it. You're right. The home run threat is a good way to put it. 7.8 yards a carry. I mean, that's still big chunk yardage for Alex Peat.
You see those last 5 drives. 2 punts sandwiched around 3 interceptions. So the offense for Johnsburg, a tough go. There's a completion. Good enough for a first down, and will stop the clock. The reception made by Nico LaDolce. LaDolce today is 6th reception for 26 yards. Peat squirts through the first one. Can't get through that second level of defense. 8-yard pickup. 234 yards. We saw Jordan Rowell from IC rush for 270 yards. That was a 3A game record. And now we have another back with his 30th carry that's up, getting close to that 250 mark.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of very impressive performances from 2 very talented running backs in these last 2 games.
Pass intended for Curry is incomplete.
Well, you're going to see some players tomorrow here on this field as well. Peoria Central, who get things started against Vernon Hills in the 5A game. That comes to you at 10 o'clock on CSN. Then following that in 6A, a game that a lot of folks have just been waiting for, and will be number 1 versus number 2, Sacred Heart Griffin taking on Prairie Ridge. East St. Louis, wait till you see their defense and defensive speed taking on Plainfield North, and then a ball game that everybody is talking about, the 8A matchup, Maine South and Loyola.
You're going to talk about two-story programs right there.
Buchanan lays it out there perfectly. Touchdown saving tackle made. The reception made by Connor Bell. Boy, did Buchanan just lay it out there for Bell for 44 yards.
And that's Connor Bell's first reception of the game. His 11th catch of the year, but he's had some big plays this season. He's got over 180 yards receiving on just those 10 catches. Welcome to the state championship game, Bell.
And a sneak from the 6-yard line.
Trying to catch the Rochester defense off guard, and they were ready for it.
Yeah, they were. They wanted nothing of that. They said, you know what, you go in tight, so will we.
Yeah.
2nd down and goal. 4 minutes gone here in the 4th quarter. Peat is going to have to create on his own, and he'll run out of room. So those 6 blue jerseys just hitting him in on that sideline.
I can tell he was frustrated there. He broke a couple of tackles, nothing doing up the middle. Breaks one tackle right at the line of scrimmage, slips another one right there, and just, yeah, you can tell he just runs out of room.
3rd and goal at the 9-yard line.
We've seen Rochester a couple of times kind of buckle those chin straps up here in this part of the field. Defensive unit allowed 14 points to a team in Johnsburg that came in averaging 46.5 a game. To the end zone. The 4th interception of the day for that Rochester defense. The 2nd for Skylar Caruso.
It's an all-out blitz by Rochester. They bring the house to pressure Buchanan. He has to roll out. You see the pressure right up the middle, roll out. He can't set his feet. He's got to jump and make this throw. He throws it into double coverage, and Skylar Caruso comes up with his 4th interception of the year, his 2nd of the state title game.
The 5'5" junior. A little helmet rub there.
Have a day, kid.
Motion from White. Baker, that's a nifty little run. He's still on his feet. You keep your feet moving, good things tend to happen.
Nick Baker has been impressive all game. He's not technically the guy who runs the ball at quarterback for Rochester. That's usually Josh Grant, who comes into the game now. I tell you what, when Josh Grant, the senior, graduates, Nick Baker is going to be able to do both next year. He's going to be able to run it and throw it, and he's proved it today.
Well, already Baker today has rushed for 50 yards to go with those 335 passing. Grant's in there now. White the carry. He was just driven back by Lemke.
I think that ball came out. Johnsburg's trying to say they have it. But it looks like Rochester was on it. I don't know who's at the bottom of that pile. Not going to be able to tell. Maybe from the replay we'll see when White coughs this up.
Right there.
Yeah, Lemke gets a hand or gets a helmet on it, and then it's out of the screen when one of the Rochester wide receivers jumps on the football.
I don't know that Lemke realized he had forced a fumble.
I don't think he did.
He looked down at White and there was no ball there. Rochester hangs on. Grant is grabbed, spun down by Austin Butler. Looked like a wrestling move from Butler. That's because it is his 2nd sport.
Austin Butler and Jared Wagner also there.
Gain 1 and 2nd down.
2nd and long. Clock approaching the midpoint of this 4th quarter. A 38-14 lead Rochester scored the last 24 points of this game. It was 14-14 with 7:15 to play in the first half.
Rochester had a 13-play, 3-minute and 33-second drive earlier in this quarter. You see a duck thrown.
Stallworth the catch. He's going to go with the flag down at the 50-yard line. And which way? This is going to be an interference call. Which way will we go? It would be an 84-yard touchdown pass. And against the offense. So Stallworth, the culprit.
I think most people knew that was coming back because Baker throws a duck here. This is the worst ball he's thrown all day. I mean, he's done everything else right. We got to call him out when he throws a duck like that. And he puts Stallworth in a bad situation. And so Stallworth has no choice. He's got to kind of push off to create a little bit of space to catch that ball.
Offensive pass interference.
It's going to be pass interference on Stallworth. It's going to set Rochester back inside the 10-yard line again.
I heard some of the Rochester fans booing. Evidently, they didn't see the two-hand push
Yeah,
from
they didn't
Stallworth.
see that on the big jumbotron in the south end zone.
Yeah, Adam Jaco was the defender on the play, so this will go back inside the 10.
But before that play, Rochester had run the ball 3 straight times, probably for the first time all game, trying to keep the ball on the ground, chew a little bit of clock before that pass. And they've taken about 2 minutes in this drive already in just about 4 plays, when they took 13 plays to chew up 3 minutes earlier.
Baker under heavy pressure. Number 67 was there. That's Brandon Ackman. Number 70, Joe Moore.
2 big men right in the face of Baker as they try and set up the screen. You see the Rochester offensive linemen just let the 2 big men go, but they're too close to Baker when he tries to get this ball off, and he can't do it. Looks like he was looking for Mickey McNicholas on that play. Kind of a tongue twister, Mickey McNicholas.
You're doing it?
I've tried it a couple times. I think I'm done for the night.
I'm calling him Mike. 3rd down and 18. Deep throw downfield, man there, just a bit too much for Avante Cox.
That was a much better throw by Baker, and he knows he had 6 right there in his sights. Much better throw than the last one, but just a little bit too far. You're going to see his full reaction right here. Rolls out, sets, fires, and oh, I had him. I had him, Coach. Look at Coach, I swear I had him.
That ball was in the air about 60 yards.
Yep, he's got a heck of an arm.
It's 4th down. Baker to kick it away. Lemke wants to pick it up, and he does. 5 return touchdowns this year for Lemke. And that's where he will be taken down right around that 45-yard line. What an athletic last 5 years here for Rochester. Girls soccer picking up state trophies in 14, 15, 16. Girls golf in 12, 13, 14, and 15. These are all state trophies. Girls basketball in 2015, cross country and girls in 2012, 2013, and boys soccer in 2013. .521, Johnsburg needs to hit that end zone in a hurry. This is the guy who can do it.
Alex Peat, the ball carrier.
Brought down by a swarm of Rockets there. See Nick Capriati coming out of the bottom of that pile.
353 yards in offense for Johnsburg, to 419 for Rochester. Yet the Skyhawks trail it by 24 points. Peat has not had the room to run here in the second half.
Most of that offense came in the first half for Johnsburg. You saw the drive chart earlier. They've had A couple of drives stalled by interceptions, a couple that they were forced to punt. And Peat just really can't get anything going here in this second half.
Buchanan up to the sideline, just a bit too high, laid it out there. Good coverage on the play. Number 22 is Bryce Casey. He's looking for Connor Bell. They connected just moments ago. Johnsburg 13-0 this season. Their closest game, well, that overtime win in the semifinals over defending 4A champs Phillips. Yeah, a stretch of 4 straight shutouts, 5 and 6 games in the midway portion of the regular season. Today they've given up 38 to a Rochester team and still holding the Rockets under their season average. Buchanan, that hole closed in a hurry. On the stop, Chase Kutzman, we've mentioned his name a couple of times, also with Mike McNicholas for 30 there on the stop as well, getting his helmet in on the play. That's Nick Dameron.
Another big 4th down stop for Rochester. As the Skyhawks turn it over on downs. Rochester can put this one away with another long drive, maybe another score.
Ostermeyer will get yardage to midfield. I want to give credit to the Rochester defense. A lot of folks were wondering, that Rochester defense stopped the Johnsburg offense, and they were truly a bend but don't break. Peat had a couple of touchdown runs, and that's been it.
Yeah, they're so physical, and they give such great effort. They run the football. A lot of times today, we've seen more than one person in on a tackle. We haven't seen very many times where they've been able to take Alex Peat down with one tackle. I mean, he's not a guy who goes down with one defender. So Rochester has had to run to the football every single time, and they've done a good job of putting a lot of hats to the ball.
Johnsburg, short yardage. Derek Leonard, the head coach for Rochester. His father, Ken Leonard, up there in the suite, the Leonard group up there.
He's up there somewhere in that mess of waves.
He's game planning for Prairie Ridge tomorrow. That will be your 1 o'clock game tomorrow, the 6A championship game, Prairie Ridge and Sacred Heart Griffin.
And you know, I'm sure Derek Leonard will just switch spots with Dad tomorrow. I'm sure he'll be right there in that booth cheering his dad on tomorrow come 6A kickoff time.
Little pitch here to the near side. A flag goes down as Cox turns the corner. It is Avante Cox.
Avante Cox, ball carrier. No flag on the play.
Check out this penalty. It's been a fairly clean game played here, this 4A championship. That's just 10 penalties. This would be the 11th combined with these two teams.
Got a block in the back, 42 Rochester. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay 3rd down.
Rochester jumped out to a 14-0 lead. A couple of touchdown runs from Peat, tied it at 14, and then 2 scores before halftime for the Rockets, 28-14, and more points scored here in the 4th quarter. Down to 2.5 minutes left. 3rd down, they get that snap off in time? I don't think so.
The flag comes from the back judge like
Dead ball, delay a game against the offense. 5-yard play, 3rd down.
It is typically a delay of game, and that's exactly what the Rockets get there.
Saw Baker standing there in the sidelines. Derek Leonard passed him by. Josh Grant in the game. Don't know if we'll see Nick Baker again. 23 of 31, 335 yards and 4 touchdowns. No interceptions. His counterpart, Riley Buchanan, 10 of 20 for 84 yards, and he's thrown 4 picks. Grant running the show now for the Rockets, and run he will. Once again, Joe Moore in on that stop. His motor is not stopped.
He went down in the first half and
got a timeout,
came out for a couple
Johnsburg.
plays and has been back ever since. Been a force on that offensive and defensive line for the Skyhawks.
Tomorrow morning, the IHSA State Football Championships continue right here from Champaign with 4 great matchups. It all kicks off at 10 a.m. with the Class 5A title game between Vernon Hills and Peoria. Followed at 1 by Prairie Ridge and Sacred Heart Griffin. Then at 4, Plainfield North eyes their first ever football crown against undefeated East St. Louis. And in prime time, the Class 8A trophy is on the line as defending champion Loyola Academy battles Maine South. And of course, you can watch every game on air and online at csnchicago.com or on the NBC Sports app, starting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Fans going crazy, and I think they may like our Win Trust play of the game. You knew it was going to be one of the Cox brothers on the other end of it. This is Avante Cox, the touchdown from Baker.
That was the first play of the fourth quarter that made this a 3-score ball game. Really opened things up for Rochester. Dives for the pylon, gets in the end zone, and the Rochester Rockets are just about 2.5 minutes away from their 6th state title in 7 years.
And a block. And a return. Nearly a dream for Jared Wagner.
We almost had a big man touchdown alert, Dave. Wagner jumps on that blocked punt and eyes the end zone, but he's tripped up just a few yards shy. What a memory for that young man right there.
Jack Cagle with the block. Does he try to dive from 5 yards out?
He does. Look at him. He gets there and just can't get all the way there.
14-yard return on the blocked punt. And now the Skyhawks, 1st and goal from the 2. Peat pushed back. Boy, they have had such great pursuit on Alex Peat here in the second half.
They really have. They have bottled him up. Peat had 163 yards rushing at halftime.
And he had a chunk early in the second half. Number just jumped on us. They say he has 329 yards. I think somebody hit a wrong button somewhere. Buchanan jump pass. That's an incomplete pass.
Almost intercepted, but yeah, incomplete. So Peat with 163 yards in the first half, only about 70 yards in this second half.
Yeah, he was at 235 before that last play. Buchanan dangerously close to his 5th interception of this game.
I got roughing the quarterback. 85 Rochester. Automatic first down.
Johnsburg at the 2 after that call.
Johnsburg will get 4 more tries at the end zone after that roughing the passer call.
Boy, they just will not let Alex Peat go. That stop came from Ben Chapman. Leonard. That's a pretty good shower right there.
But look at him. He's still coaching all the way. All they're doing is taking a knee. That's why he got a lot
Too many
of
men on the offense, on the field. Legal participation, half the distance to goal line, replay, first down.
All our numbers today, courtesy of Mike Ventry up alongside, and Mike will be along for 4 more games tomorrow, part of the marathon that our crew here covering these games bring you. It is a long grind, 12 hours each day. Our thanks to Mike. He dressed warmly enough. You know, I must say an update on the weather, at least the dress for the weather. My partner, Chris Highland, did put his sport coat jacket back on in the second half.
Yep. They figured it was necessary.
I think it's supposed to be a couple degrees warmer tomorrow. If you're working the games tomorrow, I'd expect you here in shorts. Rockets just about ready to do it again. They survived an unbelievable game against Althoff in the quarterfinals, defeating the Crusaders 48-47 to avenge last year's loss in the quarters. They trailed by 19 points, came back and won that game, and they come here to Champaign. Once again, they will claim the 4A state championship 38-14 over Johnsburg. Congratulations to the Rockets.
An all-around team performance by Rochester. They put together one heck of a game. The Rockets picking up the win after shutting out Johnsburg in the second half. Just a gutsy performance by both teams. See there the winning coach, Derek Leonard, bringing home the 6th state trophy, and a lot of respect between those two men right there. Coach Dan DeBuff talked about it when we spoke with him earlier this week, said he listened to Derek Leonard speak at a coaches conference earlier this year, and just said he had so much respect for Leonard and what he does with his program. Not just the way he coaches, but the way he treats his players, the way he puts the program together and keeps everyone on the right track. So a lot of respect between these two teams. And I expect Johnsburg to have a lot of success over the next couple of years. This is a very up-and-coming team in a very good part of the state. I think this is a team under a good young head coach that'll have a lot of success over the next couple of years.
38-14 is the final. Rochester on top of Johnsburg. The Rockets 5 straight state championships from 2010 to 2014. They pick up another one here in 2016. And Derek Leonard is with us right now. Coach, congratulations. I don't know what more. Oh, actually, Annie will be talking to Coach Leonard. And Annie, go ahead.
Yep, I'm here with Coach Leonard right now. Talk about your team tonight. Defense making the big plays, your offense capitalizing on them. What are you more proud of?
I'm both, because we didn't play good defense first half, played good offense second half, and it kind of flipped in the second half. We're not a team that likes to stall and run the clock out. As you can see, that was about the awful fourth quarter, but give Johnsburg credit. Their kids play hard. I'm proud of our kids, though. 6th state championship. I'm really proud of these guys and just proud of the program, proud of the town.
6-0 in state final games, quite the dynasty. Is that how you would characterize your program?
Yeah, I hope. I don't know how you characterize. It's a great town, great people, and great kids that have all played the last 12 years for me. And yeah, just blessed to be here and have this opportunity. So this is a great team I got.
Finally, your dad is coaching tomorrow. What does it mean to share this weekend with your father?
Oh, it means everything. He taught me everything I know. He's why I'm in coaching and why the coach I am, and everything I've learned from him. I think he's the best coach in the country, just not the state, but honestly the country. And hopefully Griffin goes represent Central State 8 and Southern Illinois. So. All
right, thanks, Coach. Go dry off, guys. Back to you upstairs.
All right, thank you very much, Annie. And dry off, indeed. That's a happy wetness right now. Happy bunch of Rockets there at midfield. We've got more coming to you from Memorial Stadium. Your 4A championship game has come to a close. Rochester 38, Johnsburg 14. Class 4A state champion Rochester. Big win, 38-14 over Johnsburg. Dave Bernhardt and Chris Hyland. We go down to the podium right underneath the big video board on the south end of the stadium. Menard's bringing you the trophy presentation. And the Johnsburg Skyhawks, their only loss of the season, coming here in the state title ball game. Will get those medals put around their necks. Now you see the emotions on that stand, and a lot of folks sometimes think it's just about that one game. It's about the conclusion of a season, a long run. And you come up for many of those players, their final high school game, maybe the final game they'll ever put their pads on.
Yeah, it's got to be tough in the moment, to hang that silver medal around your neck and come in second. But I said it after the 3A game. You hope that as time heals all things, they're able to look back on this season as a whole and be proud that this Johnsburg team did something that no other team in Johnsburg history was able to do. This is the best Johnsburg team in school history. And yeah, while they take home a second-place trophy, they didn't take home the ultimate grand prize. They're going to get to say that they were still the best because they are the best in that school's history. And
how about avenging a loss to the previous 2 years to Phillips? You win a thriller on your home field in overtime to get here. I know for those folks right there in the white jerseys, that probably seems like a long time ago, but it's what got you to this very moment.
Yeah, and you know what? You hope if you're a senior, what you hope now is this program goes on and wins 2 or 3 more state championships or is back in the state title game next year, you know, and then you can look back as a proud alum and say, you know, we built the foundation for this. Because this team was 0-9 for 2 straight years, not even 6 years ago. They were 0-9 twice, and now they're on the biggest stage in the state.
The seniors on that Johnsburg team, when they were freshmen, they looked at a varsity team that was 1-8, and they said, we're going to do something different than that, and indeed they did. Now these seniors here for Rochester, they were sophomores the last time the Rockets won it when they were in grade school. They were watching Rochester win state titles.
You're right, this is a senior team that won 3 state titles in their 4 years in high school. That's pretty darn good. They're going to get to take home another first-place trophy to Rochester. That trophy case for the Rockets is getting full, almost to capacity. 6 state titles in 7 years.
You know, and you never really sense, at least when you talk to Derek Leonard and you see the reactions of their players, you never really sense the pressure and or expectations that are inherent with what they have done and what they continue to do. And that never gets old.
You're right. I was just about to say that. Thank you, Dave. You stole it right out of my mouth. It never gets old when they put that medal around your neck and you get to hoist that first place trophy as the 4A state champs.
Congratulations to the Rockets. They'll bring that home down near Springfield. They'll just clear out a little space, about 2 feet wide, and they'll throw that one in there. 38-14, your final score as they make their way down the platform. Everybody get a hand on that one. Well, our Country Financial player name here in the state championship ball game will be Avante Cox. He did a little bit of everything tonight.
You're right, he was a special player for Rochester. He gets them on the board early with a big 60-plus yard touchdown catch. He also had an interception in this game. He had a big kickoff return that set up his twin brother for a score in the second quarter. As you see, his second touchdown of the night put Rochester up 14-0. He was all over the field. Give Avante a lot of credit. He is, as you see the kickoff return, he is a big reason that Rochester is taking that first place trophy home tonight.
So Avante Cox, our Country Financial player of the game, one of many we could have given out in this ball game. 38-14. The final somewhere in that pile is a guy who caught 10 passes for 155 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also had an interception to go with the kickoff return. Well, coming up tomorrow, 4 more games of football beginning at 10 o'clock. Peoria Central, Vernon Hills to start it off. Prairie Ridge, Sacred Heart Griffin at 1 o'clock. At 4 o'clock back here for 7A. It'll be St. Louis and Plainfield North. We wrap it up with the highly anticipated ball game in 8A. Loyola Academy and Maine South. Full day of football here today. We have crowned 4 state champions, the final of which Rochester over Johnsburg, despite the great ball game from Alex Peat. We'd like to thank everybody that joined us for our ball game, for you folks at home, for our entire crew, our statistician Mike Ventry, my partner Chris Highland. I'm Dave Bernhardt. I hope you enjoyed Friday. Get ready for Saturday. It's coming your way tomorrow on CSN.